Welcome back. Today we're going to go with Maddin's Circus Peanut. As you can see, maybe you can see, I don't know if they're showing up in the camera, we got all of the dogs under my feet. I've been filming for a couple of hours here and they're starting to get a little bit restless. But we're going to finish up with Maddin's Circus Peanut. Let me see here. I'm going to start on this one with an MFC 7050 size 4. And the front's going to be a size 2. That's typically the combination that I use most. Let me get that out of the way there. It's driving me nuts. I have to flip it around. But that's usually the combination that I tie and fish this pattern and the Peanut Envy in. Every once in a while I'll go a 4-1 or a 2-1, but typically a 2 and a 4 is what I'll use for those patterns. But without any further discussion on that, we're going to take and get our back hook in the vise. We're going to, as always, 100 gel spun for our thread on the streamers. Get that to where the barb starts its ascent, and then move the thread forward just a little bit. This one today I'm going to tie in olive. I'll tie this in a lot of different color combinations. Some of them are multicolored, but we're just going to do a straight olive today. Let me get 2 plumes out of there, and that's what we're going to use for that. That's going to be our tail section. So just get the nice even tips on this. We're going to even these, we're going to wet that down, get that the length of the hook slightly longer if anything, and then tie that into place and take that back to the ascent. I'm going to work this to the front now, getting a couple of good clean wraps. Just cleaning that up, giving me a little bit of extra bulk, a little bit of a taper. Now I'm going to find 2 strands of copper holographic Flashabou. And I'm going to get those, double it up. The dog sees something back there. Oh, Christy's home. Surprised she wasn't freaking out. I'm going to double these strands over and get 4 on each side in between the 2 plumes of Marabou. Just going to take and tie that in. Same thing on the opposite side. And then just trim that off even. Those are a little bit long. I want those a little bit shorter. There we go. I'm going to go with the second plume of Marabou on this. I'm going to take, that's all over the place there. Second plume of Marabou. That's a junk. Can't do anything with that one. I'm going to tie this in. Set this right over the top. Try and get the same length, if anything, slightly longer on that top plume of Marabou. I'm going to set that in, and before I advance forward on that, I'm going to tie in some small copper wire. Double that over. That's gonna be the rib, and it's gonna trap the Schlappen in place for me. Before we advance anything else up to the front, we're going to take, this is some Cactus Chenille. This is medium. It's probably a little bit big for this fly, but I'm going to let this one ride. Usually I like to use a Staz, but I'm going to use the Cactus Chenille for this, and I'm just going to trim that section. I didn't like how it was twisted. It's going to make the head look a little bit better. It may be a little bulky for the body, but the Schlappen will cut that down slightly. So now I'm going to pull this out to where I'm just tying in those cotton fibers. Get a couple of clean wraps right over top of that. It's not adding a lot of bulk. And I'm going to advance that now to the front. I'm going to capture the rest of that Marabou and advance that to the front. I'm going to stop just about 1/8 of an inch short of the eye of the hook, and we're going to wrap this Cactus Chenille in for the body. Couple of wraps. Actually, I'm going to back that up and explain this on the front. So, or on the first couple of wraps. When you make these first couple, get that first one in there, get one full rotation all the way through, hold your tail and give that a stretch, and then work your way to the front 4 or 5 wraps, give it a stretch, 4 or 5 wraps, stretch, and work your way up to that front section. I'm going to stop it right there. I could have went one more wrap, but I think it would have been a little too bulky. So I'm going to leave that one out and just clean a couple, just get a couple of clean wraps in there, clean that section out slightly for the Schlappen that we're going to tie in. Adjust that just slightly there. And that looks like it should get a little bit cleaner of a look at it. I should still be able to work with that pretty well. So now we're going to grab some Schlappen. If you want to use a saddle hackle, that would be fine as well. I like the Schlappen. It's a little webbier, and it is also creates a little bit more bulk in the pattern, I feel. So I'm just going to take that section. Hopefully I'm still able to do this with that thing turned and not get myself in the camera. There we go. We're going to half hitch on that. Once again, grab the cradle and throw your thread in there, and then make sure that the package side, as always, is facing the front of the hook. Just a couple of even wraps right through here. Get your Schlappen nice and even. That one's borderline saddle. It's borderline saddle, but that's going to work for us right there. Capture your hackle and then just run this right through to the front. We're going to tie this in. 1, 2. Get that secured into place, and our back hook is essentially done. Got a little bit. That'll work. That'll work. So now we'll just take and tie this off. Get a couple of turn whip finish in there. Get one more just for some security. And trim that off. everything's all set with our back half, except I got that little tag end that I need to trim off of the Schlappen. Boom, get rid of that. And our back hook is good. Last thing that I'm going to do before is I'm just going to touch that up. It's just some tan thread. I'm just going to dull that white thread down slightly. That way my OCD will allow me to continue on with this pattern. Alright, now we're going to take our articulation wire, pull that tight, and somewhere or another I had a bead but it disappeared on me, so I'll get another one. We're just going to go with a 6/0 bead here. Run that right through the wire, and then we're moving on to our size 2 for our front hook. Dropped Chenille there, got that on the ground. Alright, before we articulate this thing, we're going to find a set of lead eyes here. These are just yellow medium lead eyes that we're going to tie in. Add a little bit of weight. Gives it a little bit more of a jig motion. But it's not so heavy that it's going to make it really tough to throw, or the weight's going to be disproportional to the fly. I like the mediums on this. I won't really go with the large. If anything, I'll tie a small eye on here. Mediums are small. I typically use mediums for this size or for this combination of hooks. Even if I go up to the 1s, I typically won't use anything bigger than a medium. The only time I really use the large lead eyes is if I'm tying a full-size dungeon with a 1/0 head or 1/0 front hook. Then I'll use a large, but that's about the only time. I like the mediums. They seem to be a good fit for just about any pattern. Mini dungeons, I'll use a small, but most everything else, I have a medium hook or medium lead eye. It's just a little bit off center there. One thing that I did forget on that back is I forgot to tie in the rubber legs. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. How do you forget the rubber legs? I knew that there was more of a gap there than what there should have been. So, back to the back hook. Got ahead of myself. There we go. Better that I caught it now than at the end of the fly. That's been a tough one to do. I just had to shut this one down altogether and start over. So, I think I did this the last time I did this video too. I tied it entirely, and I was just getting ready to start editing the video, and I looked at the fly and I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, I forgot the rubber legs. So I had to set up all the equipment and refilm. There, that looks a lot better. Looks like it's actually supposed to. So, just 2 sets of rubber legs, whatever color combination you decide to go with. I don't know, I just saw these up on on the pegboard there, and I was like, yeah, we'll throw these in and see how they look. I usually don't go with anything that bright, but I figured it would match with the Cactus Chenille, so I was like, we'll give it a shot, see how we like it. So those three right there, or those two legs, we'll trim those, and everything's how it's supposed to be. Back to the wire. Actually, before I do that, there we go. I just want to throw that straw on there, keep my rubber legs out of the way. It won't interfere with anything on the front hook. There we go. Now, back to the front. Make sure that those eyes are still good there. Yeah, it looks good. Now we're going to tie in our articulation wire. We're going to pick up where we left off on this front hook. And get that into place. Our wire's running parallel. As always, we don't have any twists or anything. And then get that to the length we want. I want to pull that back just slightly. There's a gap that we're going to have between the two hooks. Pretty good loop right there. It's running the direction that it should. Everything's looking pretty clean. Just going to take these wires up to the eye, or up to the dumbbell eyes, and then double them over, bring those back. Everything's good there. I'm going to trim those wires at about the halfway point, and then cover them up with a few thread wraps, just get everything nice and clean before we continue on with the fly. Now, if you go back and you look at the original design on the Peanut Envy, and a lot of the flies at that time, they didn't have skirt sections on a lot of them, so there was no cover between the front hook and the back hook. We're going to run the skirt on this one. If you look at a lot of the ones that are tied today, they all have the cover right there. But like I said, it wasn't something that was on the original, but it's on the majority of the ones that you'll see now. Some of the commercial ones will still have some of the commercial ones won't have the skirts tie on anymore, or still, I should say. But we're gonna put it in on this one. Let me find a good plume here. There we go. I'm just gonna use a beat up plume of Marabou here. It's one that is real webby and real bulky. So I'm gonna take this and just bust a section off right here, and then I'm going to run that right into the eye, or right past the eye of the back hook. Then I'm going to take the Marabou and run that right up to where I left off with the double articulation wire. So that way it gives me a nice clean transition on the back half, and it's a nice clean transition going up to the wire. Pups must have been thirsty out there running around a little bit. Alright, that's a little too bulky right there. Let's see, that looks good right there. Now I want to put the same thing on the opposite side. And this is simply a cover, so it looks like one fly instead of two flies. Tied together. And there we go. Everything's pretty clean. You can see that nice transition that we have going through the entirety of that connection. We're going to go back to our wire now. We're going to tie this in. Just double that over and capture it. And then we'll tie in our body material. This is the Estaz again. Or not the Estaz, this is the Cactus Chenille. Tie that, capture it in place, and then run it just up to our lead eyes, just in front of them. We want a little bit of space there to tie in our Schlappen and rubber legs, just so long as I remember them. Alright, one full wrap, anchor that in place, 4 to 5 anchor, and I don't like how that's twisting on me there. 4 to 5 and anchor. Now you can keep this, you can keep the body material on there if you want. It's a lot to work around. You're tying in rubber legs, you're tying in your Schlappen. It's a lot to work around. I just trim it because this is going to wind up being the head. That's what we're going to form our head out of. I just trim it. It's so much easier, and it doesn't really take that much time to tie another piece in. So now what I want to do, if I can, I want to get down into this really webby fibers down here, but make sure that your stem on your feather isn't so rigid that it's going to split. You can see that's still pretty pliable. I can move it around. Let me get that in a better focus there. There we go. I can move it around. There's no worry of it splitting on me. If you get one of these ones that's so rigid that it won't even bend at all, go further up the feather or pick a completely different one out, because if that thing splits, you can wind up losing your Schlappen on that one, or a portion of it, if not all of it. So we're going to try and get a turn or two of that really webby material right like that into the front section, right behind our eyes. Adds a little bit of extra bulk, a little bit of extra motion. And then same as always, we're going to go around the opposite direction to capture our hackle. Just enough left there to work with. There we go. There we have our nice clean Schlappen wrapped back in there. You can see we've got good coverage all the way up. Now we're going to put in 2 more sets of rubber leg, or 3 more rubber legs. It's just one set, but a set of 3 is what we're going to use. And I'll get the color combination for this if anybody wants. This is a fly enhancer, Chartreuse olive and black, if you want to copy the color combination for this one. So now I'm going to set this right behind my eyes. I'm going to get one wrap over the top. I'm going to X or figure 8, however you want to put it. Get that out of the way, and then one loose wrap right in front. Make sure that your rubber legs aren't crossed over on the top at all. You can see we've got a nice clean platform that we're tying on right there. And then one more loose wrap, pull it down, that way it's going to sink that gel spun into your rubber legs. Now I'm going to steal my straw and run that over the back section, or run that over my front section. That way I've got a nice clean area to tie on. I don't have anything that's going to interfere with me getting the head formed on this pattern. So what I'm doing now is just picking out this cotton. I'm going to check and see if this back end's any better. There's a lot of twists and turns in that, and didn't really like how the fibers were sitting. It looks like it's going to be a little bit easier to work with. There we go. Once again, we're just tying in the cotton only. Don't tie in any material. It'll create a lot of bulk for you, and you'll wind up having a bump on the fly. So just peel that material back and then tie in, like I said, just the cotton strands. Now what we want to do with this is just make some turns. I'm going to go one full turn right behind my lead eyes, and then I'm going to stretch that. I'm going to make one turn over top of the eyes and then one underneath, a rotation, and then I'm working this right back through. You can see I try to do that as slow as possible, that way we've got good coverage. Trying to do that as slow as possible, that way you're able to see the path and everything that we're taking. And one full wrap right in the front. Let me trim that out of the way, and then I'll explain that head a little bit better. 1, 2, and a third. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Alright, so the big thing that you want to do, that you want to make sure that you get on this pattern, or on the head on this, is when you make that first wrap, you have good full coverage all the way around behind the eyes. You can see that there's no gaps right there, there's nothing open. And then I usually go either over the top or over the bottom, and then work it back around, back over the top or bottom, one wrap right in the front, and you're just looking for full coverage in between your dumbbell eyes. And you have that nice section up at the front. Everything's nice and clean right there, and you have a completed Circus Peanut, minus cutting these legs right here. I'm just going to dangle these legs down, pull them down, release the tension, trim, and there is, let me get that, there is Russ Maddin's Circus Peanut. This one's, like I said, did this one in olive today. Typically I'll use the Estaz for the body material, but I like this this medium Cactus Chenille. It makes the head a little bulkier, which I like. The Estaz is a little bit more compact, and it's not as broad. I like the color of the Estaz better, but you sacrifice a little bit. If I can find the Estaz color in the Cactus Chenille, we'll be in business. But enough of that. There is Russ Maddin's Circus Peanut. Any questions or comments, leave them with me and I'll get back to you. But thanks for watching and we'll catch you next Wednesday.